will be done here at MSI. Well, CFO just need one more game to close this out and move on, where they would play the loser of AL. Well, AL, of course. They would play AL, because that happened yesterday. So obviously an incredibly difficult challenge that they would be facing, but want to take that chance.
I mean, every opportunity, CFO have stepped up to the challenge at this MSI, taking T1 to 5 games now, coming into this series as a close team, but definitely the underdogs. I think most people expected MKOI to be the slightly better of the two, and just dominating the first 2 games is Jace, Pantheon, and Cassante banned away by MKOI, Gwen and Vi removed by CFO.
Yeah, so Jace, the most played for Rest. Cassante, 3rd most played for Rest. So clearly trying to throw something at what his expected champion pool is. Going to be curious to see where Rest does go, because you'll remember back towards Game 5 when they were playing against T1. He came in, he was actually playing the Ornn. That one did not go well for him. But we had heard in the interviews that that was more due to jet lag that Driver was experiencing, and he wanted to sub himself out.
Yeah, I think Driver said it's only his 2nd time on the international stage. There's a little bit of jet lag, a bit of anxiety around it all as well. So credit to CFO for making that swap at that sort of moment. It's going to be Talia locked in for MKOI, one of JoJo's best champions this split in the LEC. CFO are looking towards the Aurora as an answer, which is something we have seen quite a few times over MSI, and that will be locked in as well.
Yeah, I mean, Aurora has been looking very strong so far. A lot of these players are showing up, really showcasing why.
Yorick immediately.
Wow, Yorick blind to me. I love the champion, just so not a fan. We'll see what the answer is going to be for Mirwin, because Mirwin is one of the guys that can he can play everything, right? Yeah. So I would be almost most scared. There it is, finally.
It's the best counter.
This to me, I play a lot of Yorick. This matchup is unplayable. This is the worst matchup, one of the worst matchups I've ever played, not just for Yorick, but of any champion. It is truly horrible. Every time you spawn your ghouls, Aurelia just Q1 shots them all, stacks up the passive. It is so hard, even from ahead, to actually be able to win this out. You need your jungler. You need your jungler to be able to 2v1, put you in a position where this Aurelia is just slammed into the ground, because it is so tough. And this is a matchup that I've almost stopped talking about in Pro, because no one wants to play Aurelia, because it is such a risky pick. Aurelia has to be flying in, playing aggressive in those side lanes. The only way you win lanes is by throwing yourself into a position where you're easy to gank.
Yeah, it really is, and I like what CFO have done to answer it by saying, okay, if you want to go in on the Aurelia, we're going to pick the Nocturne. Gives you side lane threat, but also, as soon as Mirwin's jumping onto the backline, Paranoia's popped. The rest of his team can't see him. MKOI tried to mitigate a bit of Aurelia's weaknesses by picking up the Poppy themselves, because obviously Steadfast Presence, very powerful into a champion that just wants to dash.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how they actually plan this out. To me, this game is already almost entirely about top lane. Both of these champions are extremely oppressive from ahead and absolutely useless if they are put into the ground. So we have to see drafts, I think, that have really kind of bot lanes that can just work on their own, that don't necessarily need a lot of jungle attention, that don't necessarily need a lot of help. I would really be thinking about, okay, how can I actually play this out to where, I have strong wave clear, I'm not going to be threatened in the dives, I'm going to be able to just chill on an island here so my jungler can play for top side, because I think that is where this game will be decided. Draven would absolutely not be it. To me, it's Senna, I think, is a fantastic pick that would actually allow you to play towards that side lane that is pretty good at actually sustaining on your own, especially when paired with a stronger laning support.
And as soon as you get the static shiv as well, it's really easy just to sit in that mid lane, push out the waves. If you put something like the Nautilus alongside it as well, it gives him a little bit of extra safety. Kai'Sa's going to be the pick. Has a little bit of safety herself with the Killer Instinct and the Supercharge. You can avoid a bit of damage, but as you say, full dive really seems to be the name of the game for CFO. MKOI are going to have to watch their flanks when it comes to this Paranoia coming down.
And I mean, Nautilus is still up and available, obviously one of the really common pairings. Rakan is still up and available too. I think Xayah Rakan makes a ton of sense here for MKOI. It's a great answer to a full dive comp, which is what we are obviously showing from CFO. Does mean that you'd be giving the Nautilus over, but honestly, who cares? The counter engage, I think, is fantastic from the MKOI side. Instead, they are going to be going in towards the Rel, so grabbing up the Rel for themselves here. Very interesting, and that does leave both the Rakan as well as that Nautilus as options for CFO.
My expectation would be
unless they really want to cook.
Nah, I mean, Renata also does a similar thing with the hostile takeover and the handshake. You can protect your AD carry a little bit if you think you're going to be overcome by the dive that comes out from MKOI.
Like, hard engage here. I don't like the Renata, honestly. I would be very surprised. I think he's just kind of hovering around for fun, and I think he's going to lock in hard engage. I just don't really buy it when it's like, you need some sort of a go button, right? You need to be able to actually lock these people up, apply CC so that the Killer Instinct can even be used, right? Like, Otherwise, what is your CC? You're waiting for a Fear Tether to proc the Plasma so that Kaisa can go into the back line? It just wouldn't make sense. So it's going to be very interesting. Two teams playing two very different styles. For MKOI, it's all about stifling the engage, absorbing it, being able to then turn around the fight in the longer run. Whereas for CFO, it's all about that first punch and, of course, playing through side lane. You know, both MKOI and CFO are going to have eyes on that top lane. Rest and Mirwin. The fate of their teams, I think, really will be on their shoulders here.
Yeah, huge amount of weight on Mirwin's shoulders. Aurelia, the last time we saw her was back in 2023 from Chasey on Mad Lions, which is the team that MKOI then became, or came out of, at MSI. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this Aurelia does. A lot of weight on Mirwin's shoulders. Non-subscribers can come back in about 30 seconds, as we will see you then. For now, we'll see the coaches handshaking on the stage and get into Game 3 here. CFO, one game away from a historic victory for the LCP, for the APAC region. A few times we have seen this region managed to beat out EU, but all time it's like 9-23 in favor of EU. In series, it tends to be close, but EU comes out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. But you also have to take in consideration 4 of those wins were right at first stand, right? You know, we saw that CFO was able to 2-0 KC and then had a close best of 5. It was 2-3 that they lost, but still overall score 4-3. They actually were winning a lot of games there. This team is something different, right? And we have to respect how good they have gotten. CFO really is a threat on the international stage. They are absolutely proving that. Mirwin, though, this is the kind of game that is make or break for you. You are known as one of these really impressive carry players who has this deep bag of champions that you can pull from. This is an absolute hard counter in the 1v1. You have the opportunity to take over this game, and I really want to see if he can actually step up with all the pressure on his shoulders and do it, because Aurelia, it's not just going to be about the 1v1, it's going to be about that later stage.
Comes in, crash down from Alvaro. There's the heal coming out as well, as CFO will just start to retreat. Ghost was used by Super for the chase, so it's a summoner for a summoner. I think this is too late on a recall from Doggo. I'm not going to be back in the lane too early, and Alvaro and Super trying to make sure that he can't get back easily.
Watching from the crowd, hanging out. Yeah, it is going to be a bit of a tough start. So you lose your potion, you're still not going to be full HP, but that was a risky invade. They were just kind of trying to walk in blind, and as a result, they are punished. So MKOI going to be really happy about how things are starting out. And all eyes on the top lane here. Again, it's not like it's just you're just going to straight up kill him at level 1 or something, but the whole reason it's so difficult is because of this interaction where you summon the ghouls, Aurelia just Qs them all, one-shots them, heals up, gets the passive stacked.
Crash down in from Alvaro, they're going to force Doggo away once again. Not level 2 yet, so you don't have the Shadowing Strike or the Blade Caller, but still good damage down to Doggo. We did see the shared champion pool between Mirwin and Rest, but Mirwin hasn't brought out the Aurelia so far this year, unsurprisingly. Smite goes down. Lioya is the one to get that Gromp and should be able to walk away from Ginger here. Looking for the slam into the wall. Won't have enough damage to kill him, but definitely harasses him out. Using the bot lane pressure well there, Lioya. Yeah,
really nice invade. Just goes Raptors, meets his opponent over at that buff, and Ginger had no smite. He'd already used it on the first camp to get that quicker level 2. Poppy, of course, just deletes the Raptors. Bot lane going horrible here for CFO, so you've got to be so happy about how this actually starts out. They already got a play. Doggo had to base with 1 CS. He just had passive gold that was enough to get him another potion, so that was his buy on the first base. Still level 1 here as well, and things just going to get that much more difficult.
You see the ghouls come out, and there they go. Very quickly back to the grave. That's the power of the Blade Surge from Mirwin here on the Aurelia. Good start early hit for MKOI. I think this Xayah Rel is going better than the Caitlyn Karma was in terms of 2v2 pressure, which is surprising considering how strong Kate Karma usually is.
Absolutely, but you have to take in consideration how the level 1 went, right? And it was really about that aggression, as Mirwin, again, just going to be able to heal up, and now with the passive stack, Conqueror stacked.
Conqueror fully stacked here onto Rest. Doesn't have another Blade Surge to work with, but Rest forced back once again. Yorick does have a few innate tools for sustain. Last right giving you a bit of health back as Jojo taken out. Thought he could escape with the flash, but the threefold hex just follows him.
We saw the exact same thing happening to Quad. You know, you get that damage through, threefold hex, comes back, able to actually take him out. Lioya going to get supported here as well, as Honkyu's just going to TP right into this ward.
Yeah, making sure that Ginger can get the Scuttle Crab. Nice TP from Honku. Doesn't really lose anything because he's just going to walk over to the mid lane once again. Jojo had already TP'd to the mid lane wave, so they knew that they could have the 2v1 advantage right there. Leads for MKOI in the top side and the bot side, but mid and jungle very much in favor of CFO. Partly because Elioya spent a lot of time trying to steal away these camps. We'll have another look at this. Jojo very low on mana, trying to catch the wave quite high up in the lane.
Yeah, Honkyu goes in, proxy electrocute, and there it is. Hits him with the 2-volt hex, and when you flash through, you can still do the pullback, and of course that damage is going to follow, able to finish him off. And Jojo just admitting the mistake, but MKOI looking for a dive here. Rest in trouble.
Yeah, slammed into the wall. There's the flawless duet to follow up, and Elioya on the board. MKOI get there first. Mirwin gets a plate, and he is getting pretty fat already on this Aurelia.
Yeah, it's going to be so hard for Rest. Already down 600 gold here. Elioya only has taken 4 camps, but has been active, trying to stay aggressive.
No flash for Jojo. Has to sidestep the grand entrance. Well done to escape Kaiwing's clutches. TP coming out from Rest. He's going back down to the bottom lane. And with the recall coming out from Super, I expect he'll match the pressure on the top side from Doggo. Yeah,
really nice movement there from Jojo. Sidesteps the W from Rakan. Sidesteps the Q as well coming through from Honkyu. That is critical when you've already gone down once. You can't afford to make those mistakes, especially if you're forced to base or even die without teleport. It is so much more punishing that second time. So has to stay alive, and Alvaro is here, and Honkyu could be in trouble.
The shove doesn't connect. Flash, shadowing strike, but the weirding out from Honkyu will get him to safety. Goes invisible. Doesn't have to burn the flash, which I think is really what MKOI were looking for there, just trying to even out that summoner spell disadvantage. Honkyu flashes in though, and Jojo's dead again! That's not optimal, but Honkyu is absolutely slapping. Elioya comes in, will put the hammer down and get a kill in response, but Honkyu in the 1v1 is just destroying Jojo.
He is going crazy already here as Mirwin down towards this bot side. With Rest, Supa going to be able to kite this out. Honkyu making such a difference in this last game, as it feels like he's going to kind of have to, because top lane is already really struggling, and it does not get easier in this matchup.
Mirwin slightly behind in terms of XP right now, but should be able to catch back up as the wave pushes in. Rest has brought in the Maiden to try and just get a little bit of extra pressure in the lane, but she's not that tanky right now, only 1,000 HP on her, so with a little bit of help from a friend, Mirwin should be able to take that down pretty sharpish. She's gone Cull as well on this Aurelia, just trying to farm up, as has Super on the Xayah.
Yep, going to be going Cull, and you can see that Rest is going to be going for the Bramble Vest early. Really, when I've played this matchup, all you do is you try to survive. Like, you just try to not be the reason your team loses the game, because you're never really going to be able to win that 1v1. So, rushing towards Triforce I think becomes less important. To me, it's like you're just going Bramble Vest into tabbies and trying not to die.
Paranoia from Junja. The flash from the Fear Tether is enough to keep Super safe. He was actually positioning up because that plate was about to fall on the top side, so he wanted to get the gold from it. Elioya now coming down towards the bottom side. Rest does have his flash available, puts down the cage, but I don't think Rest is able to escape from this. Meanwhile, on the top side, Alvaro and Jojo Pyun are still fighting. Jojo Pyun down to a 3rd HP as Rest falls on the bottom side. Able to escape. Kaiwin and Honkyu coming up on top in the mid lane.
Nicely done. Mirwin able to get another kill there with the help of Elioya. Doesn't even have to use his ultimate as well to add insult to injury there. Able to just chase him down, get the kill. Will be able to get a good base here. And when you get to Blade of the Rune King, any fun that you were having is already going to be a well and truly over here. Jojo just trying to survive mid lane against Honkyu. The rest of the map is doing really, really well. So Jojo just needs to kind of sit back, chill. That is the 1 point of power right now for CFO. Junja at the very least did get Ghost Flash out of his first ultimate, but the ultimate cooldown early on is so long on Nocturne, you really want to be able to cash in on that first kill.
Especially when you're doing it against a Xayah and you get her flash out, but she's about to hit level 6.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I have more tools at my disposal to be safe. I have that Featherstorm now. So even if you come back in with the Paranoia, I can at least delay for the follow-up of the rest of my team. It's the first time in this series that we've seen MKOI with a gold lead in the early game. About 1,200 ahead right now, as CFO are going to claim the first Drake of the game.
CFO able to grab that dragon here, not super early, and the grubs are up, so we'll see if anyone's going to make a move towards those here pretty quickly. But it feels like Elioya, has been very active, got some kills, wants to just go back and keep his farm up, because even though he was up in gold, he was quite a few camps down. You can see the KDA for Doggo has yet to die across those first 2 games. This guy has been stellar, really pumping out the damage, positioning well. He is just such a talent, and really is so fun to actually watch him. And Emily was just telling me about an interview that he had given where he was saying this MSI is so important to him because it felt like it was the first time that he had earned it himself, actually getting there himself. Of course, he had subbed in before in the past on loan for another team, but this is, him earning his trip here and really wants to perform well to show that, hey, I deserve to be here amongst the best in the world.
I think there's a lot of people as well who have only watched him in the LPL as the paranoia goes down onto Mirwin, who has no flash and no escape from this. Rest gets the shutdown, and Mirwin just a little bit too greedy on his own in the bot side.
Yep, that is a really nice play there from Junja. You have to depend on your jungler in this matchup. And Junja is a very dependable jungler, so gets down there, is able to get the kill. Mirwin didn't have flash, and now MKOI trying to pressure on the other side of the map. You can see Junja, though, running up there with Kaiwing, is there to cover.
Shadowing Strike doesn't hit. Alvaro starts to run away. Hasn't invested too much in this right now.
Spamming the emotes, man.
He really is. He's going to be able to walk away. Junja here for the cover as well, so in the end, Super will just be able to chip away at that tower, not quite take the plate, but should clear out this next wave. I was saying about Doggo, I think there'll be a lot of people who only watched him in the LPL where he underperformed and think, oh, this guy's not actually all that. Yeah. But when you watch him in the LCP, he's just so consistently one of the best AD carries in the league, and you've seen him here as well. Unkilled in this series, had a great series versus T1 as well. He's just such a good player that we don't get to see enough of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, mechanically, he's extremely impressive. So definitely a treat to watch here. Has been performing incredibly well against some of the best in the world. I mean, you go up against T1 bot lane, you're laning against Keria and Guma, and you perform well. Like, oh, okay, you're pretty good. I don't think it gets much harder than that. So we'll see if he can kind of continue that. Mirwin obviously did go down, but is still significantly ahead in that 1v1 on the top side, working towards that Blade of Rune King. 30 more stacks on the cult. And we'll be in towards that. And Elyoya, with all this early pressure that he's put out, already is on the Sundered Sky, so is going to have quite a bit of damage here. Of course, Poppy, is a tank, but so much upfront damage if you can actually get that wall slam comes out with this build, and that's why it's so popular.
See Rest just trying to avoid every matchup that he can into this Aurelia. He's done pretty well. He's going to push out this wave, and with the Maiden, your wave push is actually relatively quick, especially if you get the Eulogy down and get those extra ghouls. So Rest can just, take this tower back away. There's a possibility of a Weaver's Wall from Jojo, but with the Rest walking all the way back to his tower, no gank attempt is made.
Yeah, no one answering that bot wave right now, so it would be a cost to it if they wanted to go for it.
Oh, Alvaro. For Kaiwing or Doggo here, steps into vision. There's a flank as well here from Elyoya. Kaiwing has to flash away early. The Magnustorm comes out. There's the Paranoia as well. Super begins to open up between worlds. Goes Hongq. The Keeper's Verdict knocks back two. Doggo looking for the flank. The Paranoia is going to follow back up. Doggo still coming in here. There's the Weaver's Wall from Jojo. Alvaro chasing onto Doggo, but he's got both summoners still up, and he uses the cleanse immediately to get away from the seismic shove. Elyoya now on the retreat with the steadfast presence. The Weirding coming out from Hongq is going to do a lot of work as well. In the end, neither team will have anyone fall.
No one falls there, but it is the flash off Elyoya, the flash off of both the Nocturne as well as the Recon, the cleanse off of the Kai'Sa. So a lot of big tools were spent there. It was a great ejection from Elyoya. He knocks the Nocturne away, but then is able to just use the ultimate to just come right back in. And Alvaro is behind Hongq, but quite low on health. I don't think that's a play that you're going to want to look for, as Hongq is quite strong here. Does already have his first item done.
One of the most greedy dives, if that ever did materialize. Everyone's on half HP.
I've seen some dives in my time.
I mean, that is true. That is true. It's MKOI holding back off it, and I'm sure Europeans around the world are taking a sigh of relief at the fact they didn't decide to go for that play. Plate falls in the mid lane, but no one's near it, so no one will pick up that extra bit of gold. Leads in the top jungle, bot, and support role for MKOI, but a sizable chunk of change for Hongq in mid. 600 gold ahead. The Malignant's already complete.
And there's the Blade of the Rune King done for Mirwin, so bad news for Rest. Matchup already very difficult. Did get that relief, and the shutdown gold critically went to him, so has just been playing it very defensively. You can see he's pushing out waves. He's just trying to move away from the Aurelia, really not interact whatsoever, which is absolutely the correct choice in this matchup. And the question is, can Mirwin utilize this advantage to either start farming plates and towers and get an edge there, or if he has to go into the team fights with it, can he really execute on the team fights on Aurelia? Because that is really hard to do. To play out this matchup, honestly, in the 1v1, it's not that hard. It is very, very Aurelia favored, but it is really hard to pilot this champion effectively in a 5v5 and really be able to get something done. So that's where I think Mirwin is going to have that big test.
Neither of the top laners have teleports. That's going to be a 4v4 around the Dragon. Super still has that Featherstorm, Magnustorm Flash available for Alvaro if he wants to go in. The Drake resetting as CFO decide it's not in their best options right now to continue on that.
Some more plates did fall up on that top side as we saw that Rest went back to base, wanted to heal back up, get a buy. And Mirwin, as a result, was able to continue farming plates on that tower. And MKOI now are first onto this Dragon. Junja's on the side, though, and Honkyu's moving over as well, so it could be a potential for a fight.
It might just be a fight afterwards. There's the paranoia coming out. Smite goes in from Elioya. Seismic shove shielded by Ginger. Doggo and Kaiwing a little bit separated from the team. You could see the idea. Pincer movement, quickness, killer instinct. You have a lot of ability to close on that backline, but in the end, CFO don't pull the trigger.
Yeah, and I think MKOI positioning well there. You know, if you get split up, then maybe it's going to become really problematic. But because they stayed as a 4-man squad, great. You have these 2 squads of 2, but they're just going to go on and attack one side. They're going to heavily commit towards that, and then it would be really difficult for CFO. So I think intelligently do back off, but MKOI grabbed the dragon here, so all tied up as far as that is concerned. It's going to be a Cloud Soul, which can be really strong, I think, for a lot of these champions. You know, Aurelia obviously loving that, Nocturne obviously loving that. You know, a lot of these champions do get a lot of value out of this, even the Xayah as well as the Rakan, the Kaisa. Like, there's so many champs that just love it in this game.
Rakan is over the moon with a Cloud Soul. It's one of the best souls you can get. Obviously going to be hard for Kaiwing in this game because the Poppy exists and the Unraveled Earth from the Taliyah exists.
Well, you just never use your W. You just get Cloud Soul and press R and run at them.
You never use W or E. You have Q and your R.
Press R, that's
2
it.
abilities.
Just run through them.
Yeah, we've gone for the Mikhails once again. It has Kaiwing rushing that, only going for the slightly magical footwear there on the Rakan, whereas Alvaro has decided to get the Ionian Boots of Lucidity to kick things off. First item complete as well for Super and for Jojo Pyun. It's the Archangels and the Yuntal Wind Arrows. First items across the board actually for both teams as MKOI set up around the Rift Herald. Kaiwing looking for that flank position. Prey Seeker's going to come out as Doggo tries to connect, but the Rift Herald is secured by MKOI, and alongside it, those upgraded boots.
Yeah, and Ginger had no ultimate, so you're pretty much never going to look for a fight, you know, in that position. Nocturne without ult in a team fight is just so useless, and Rest's just going to tank up this damage and knock down the tower. It is incredibly low, so we'll be able to finish that off. Nicely done by him. And that is the ult out from Jojo. Has not really been able to find much purchase in this game. You know, he did get taken down a couple times in mid lane, and as a result, hasn't been very active on the map.
That's just smart movement as well from CFO. Splitting these laners up. Honkyu's going to dash away. Clears out the wave first. Kaiwing here for support. Even trying to close the gap before this duet. There's the charm, and Kaiwing can just run up to the top side. Great protection of his mid laner there from the CFO support.
Yeah, really slick stuff from both of them, honestly. You know, Honkyu just drops the ult, clears out the wave, runs away from the dive, so they have to walk through the tower. And that buys his support time to get there. They're looking for a dive on bot side.
Paranoia onto Mirwin. The Fear Tether's going to connect as well as Rest flashing forward, but they can't quite kill him. Doggo comes in with a killer instinct and will take out Mirwin. Meanwhile, there's a dive onto Honkyu. The tower's not going to stand for much longer. Mirwin gets the kill. Super down towards this bottom side has got one in response. Doggo's already dead as alongside Rest. So Jojo dies at bot. Mirwin gets a kill at top. Super picks up 2 in the end on the bot lane.
Yeah, that is really big. Super going to be able to grab a couple kills, and they're going to drop the Herald mid here now. So you're going to be able to charge this one in. Maybe finish this off as well. It's just the support in the area, so should be able to finish it off. More gold going the way of MKOI. Over 3,000 gold ahead. Going to be able to get a second charge in also. And Kaiwing's getting low. He's got to be careful.
Yeah, pops the heal. Does have that unsealed spellbook, but...
Yeah, used Spellbook Smite to actually try to kill the Herald before it actually crashed, but couldn't quite finish it off.
There's about 14 HP left on it. A 3,000 gold lead now for MKOI. As we have a moment in the action. If you're watching the action unfold, keep an eye out for exclusive drops just for tuning into MSI. All you need to do is be logged in and watching on lolesports.com for a chance to score in-game loot. And by that, we don't mean like a Kraken Slayer or a Malignant's actual skins and items and stuff, no?
You know, just get like a Bloodthirster popping up
Start in the game, it's a free Bloodthirster. It's the only way I think I'd be able to beat most of the players here. Between worlds from Honkyu, he's going to look to try and dash away, but can't get to the edge of the ring. Alvaro still chasing. Elioya looking for the keeper's verdict, doesn't connect. Honkyu jumps back with the weirding, but in the end will fall to Super, who's now 3-0 with a 1.4k gold lead.
Yeah, nicely done. CFO, though, in the area, thinking about looking for an engage.
Paranoia. Ginger goes in onto Super, who doesn't have the Feather Storm. The tower will fall. The dash in is stopped by the Steadfast Presence, but the Charm's still going to connect. The shutdown with the Grand Entrance. Alvaro now on the front line as Doggo begins to open up. Elioya doing what he can. Jojo coming in from the side as well. Ginger's going to fall. MKOI turn it around and get 2 kills in response.
Nicely done. Are able to knock down that tower there too. And Mirwin now pushing through mid lane here. He's got his second item, and Rest is going to have to be careful, but Kaiwing is in the area.
Yeah, Weaver's Wall, though. Mirwin just has to survive for a couple of seconds. Kaiwing dashes away, but the chase comes in from Mirwin. Kaiwing will fall. TP in from Honkyu. He's lost his support, though, alongside his top laner. CFO unable to defend their mid-tier 2.
Mirwin getting a kill back, and now he's spamming the emotes. Didn't take kindly to Doggo spamming them all to him. So he's letting him know with the Penguin dab there. Mirwin really strong at this point, has the hull breaker, so clearly he wants to commit to that side lane. I do think it is smart. You know, we know Yorick wants to live in that side lane. You're going to be able to do it as well. And now that you have the hull breaker, the amount of damage you can actually do to these towers is incredibly high. Again, you can just focus down the turret, stack up the passive on all these ghouls, hits the double ulti, you know, has the W to buy time here. And then Conqueror is just fully stacked. Flashes in, Kaiwing does land the CC, but it just doesn't matter because he has another Q to follow. Late on in the game, so hard to actually escape from.
Really is. MKOI smiling as they are 5,500 gold ahead in this game 3 of the best of 5. The domination that CFO had in the first 2 games, a not too distant memory, and we've seen MKOI take a few fights in game 1 and game 2 that have swung things in CFO's favor. So it's not all done yet, but they are in prime position to close this one out and take us at least to a game 4. Paranoia coming out. So we see Mirwin trying to dash forward. Flawless duet doesn't land the stun. TP coming out from Alvaro to try and protect. It's going to be a 4v2, but Mirwin looking to take down 2 before they get in. The quickness in time. Ginger will die to the tower shot as Alvaro tries to retreat. He remounts. Was looking for Honku but couldn't find him. And there's the knockup with the grand entrance. Kaiwing tanking it well. Alvaro down to Doggo. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Elioya, Jojo, and Super are pushing in. Rest doesn't have the flash, but the stun doesn't connect against the wall. The Keeper's Verdict, though, will keep him in place. And Super brings back the daggers to get the kill.
Good proactive play on the top side there from CFO, but it just doesn't really matter because MKOI, again, getting a play back on the bot side, getting a kill back on the top side, taking down the tier 2 as well. And now their eyes are on the Otacon here. I think that CFO has an idea that it could be going on. They're charging straight out towards that side of the map, but I don't know that they're going to be there in time. And if they are, Junja has no ultimate, so I don't think they can really do anything to stop this whatsoever, especially with the teleport coming back from Mirwin.
Yeah, Mirwin TPing in just gives that extra safety blanket that MKOI needed to make sure that they can secure it. They'll get the Otacon. Next Drake up in 4 minutes time, but those pesos going in their pockets from 18 to 34. A huge amount of extra adaptive force now for MKOI.
Yeah, going to be feeling really good about their position here. Alvaro looking like he's thinking about engage on Kaiwing, but Rakan, of course, very slippery. Can be difficult to actually lock down. Just need to continue buying time for Mirwin in that side lane, play around him. You know, as long as you have someone behind him, there's not really any 2v2 that can be won right now when it's one of them is involving Mirwin. So CFO will need to really overload his side of the map to have any sort of chance. Like, you need a 2v1, you need a 3v2, you need something like that to even have a chance. And at this point, honestly, Mirwin would have a decent chance, even in a 2v3.
Yeah, definitely would, especially with the hull breaker and the play of the Ruin King complete. I will say MKOI haven't really set up vision for him on this bottom side at all, so it's quite hard for him to push up because as much as perhaps he could win the 2v1, you don't really always want to take those 2v1s, and especially if your team isn't on position on the other side of the map. So I would like to see Alvaro stepping into that blue side jungle, getting a couple of wards down just to make sure that Mirwin
shall receive.
I mean, yeah, he's doing it. Obviously, you know, good supports think alike, and also me and Alvaro. Mirwin having to stand back in this wave just to make sure that there's no collapse coming out from CFO.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really the only thing he is worried about, you know, is Junja collapsing, which makes getting vision a lot more difficult. That's why Alvaro is going so deep for that vision. You need wards in your opponent's jungle, not even just your own, but they're going to go for an age.
Paranoia coming out. The Weaver's Wall has been popped. Super trying to join the party here as Elioya's on the front line between worlds. Doesn't matter. MKOI just assassinate too. Honku looking to survive, but he's locked up against the wall. Jojo hits him with a threaded volley, and Super brings back the feathers to secure the double. Alvaro looking for the flank onto Doggo, who has the killer instinct and will be able to dash his way away.
Yeah, anticipates the Shattering Strike there to hit him. It actually misses, but he uses the cleanse anyway. So they get that cleanse out, they get the ult out. So critical tools now missing for Doggo. And CFO just trying to overload one side of the map, constantly looking for picks, but MKOI intelligently just saying, you know what, we can group up too, and we have the gold lead here. So when they are running into these even number fights, they are just getting crushed. They don't have the damage to finish off Elioya. Jojo hit a really nice multiple-man seismic shove, and they're able to finish off a couple kills there. Now 7,000 in the lead here for MKOI. It's going to take a miracle for CFO, but it's really hard to see them being able to come back. There's so many good tools that MKOI have to be able to actually absorb the engage. So as long as MKOI are playing respectful, are making sure that they're getting vision in the right spots, you know, not walking in blind, I think they should be absolutely fine.
It's just so much disengage from MKOI if they want it. The Unraveled Earth, you've got the Steadfast Presence, you've got Alvaro going in with the Magnet Storm just to distract, Featherstorm. Like, Mirwin unlikely to be with the team for the next few moments. We'll just want to continue that side lane threat. The problem is the vision that was now on that blue side has been cleared out by CFO, and you can see Ginger lying in wait thinking, oh, if Mirwin oversteps, perhaps we can take that 2v1. The Black Cleaver and Triforce complete and the Bramble Vest, maybe it would be enough.
But this is great. I mean, you know, MKOI see, okay, we lost our vision on the bot side, so what are we going to do? We're going to move into the top side and try to reclaim some vision here while we're pressuring up to this side. You don't see any Nocturne there, so guess where he is? He's going to be on the other side of the map, so that's why Mirwin is just farming his own jungle camps. He's still only just now going to start showing on that wave so much longer that he did wait. You know, really playing it safe, has this big advantage, is working towards a wit's end, and is going to be even more difficult to actually knock down at that point. Just kind of paying some respect over to Hongq as maybe that strongest member over on the other side.
Next Dragon up in 15 seconds time. It would be Soul Point for MKOI. Elioya going in here, trying to steal away this blue. The Weaver's Wall will separate CFO. Paranoia coming out from Ginger, but he's on the wrong side of dodge, and he'll be taken out, slammed into that Weaver's Wall. Jojo secures the kill, and now with the jungler down, Baron becomes a little bit of an option. Nocturne will be spawning about 4 seconds after the Baron comes up.
Yeah, they're definitely thinking at least about getting vision on that top side, but I think for now, just take the Dragon here. It's already up and available. They have full push on that bot side, and they're just moving around the map really, really well. It feels like Kaiwing is doing a good job at reestablishing vision control as soon as MKOI do exit, but they're always kind of being reactive, right? It's MKOI now that are on the front foot. It's them that are playing much more aggressive with this gold lead, as you want to see them do, and they're working in towards this Soul now. A teleport coming out. This is Rakan here.
Yeah.
Just made me a little bit nervous with Alvaro in the area that he was going to immediately TP and get caught.
Very understandable, but Kaiwing wants to switch over to that flash for the next fight, so uses the teleport, gets a little bit of vision. One of the great things about Rakan is how much you can wrap for vision. You can be behind enemy lines, you have enough escape tools to get out. If you really need to, you can pop the quickness, but with the MKOs as well, you just have so much utility in your kit. Elioya stepping forward here. A 3-item Kai'Sa is nothing to be sniffed at. Nash's, Ginsu's, and the Kraken finished. Hongq going in, the quickness from Kaiwing as well for the charm. Alvaro's caught out here, Keeper's verdict. Not guilty for now, the Paranoia back in. Ginger flashes out, Alvaro uses the Magnet Storm and jumps his way away. And MKOI will escape with their support still alive.
I mean, the problem is Doggo wasn't actually hitting anything there. And if Doggo's not hitting, they have no damage. Yorick had already lost ultimate, and without that Maiden, you are doing very little damage. Junja ults in, then immediately flashes out. Hongq uses his full round of spells. He hit everything, but it's just not enough to kill them on your own. Their only consistent damage is Doggo at this point. And Doggo knows, I cannot just ult into the middle of their team. I will get instantly CC'd and die. So he couldn't really follow up. He wasn't in a position to do so. And as a result, CFO spend a lot of their big tools here and don't get much of anything for it. Kaiwing, critical to note, is on that smite. You know, looking for some sort of an opportunity, hoping, hey, maybe MKOI start a Baron, we can steal it away. These are the kind of things that you're thinking about to try to come back in a game like this, because any sort of normal run of play, you're going to lose from here.
MKOI starting up the Baron though. Smite from Elioya already used. We'll be back up in about 7 seconds time. TP coming out from Rest as he looks to join the frame. Mirwin's in the mid lane. CFO trying to get in, but it's secured by Elioya. Alvaro dashes onto the back line. Kaiwing already down, and I think that will be all for the fight. MKOI managed to secure the objective. The Weaver's Wall coming out though. Elioya has other ideas as he dashes in onto Hongq. Magnet Storm on Hongq means that he can't escape between worlds. Jojo still looking for more. Junja lands the Fear Tether onto Alvaro, but the stun still connects, and the Shroud of Darkness won't be enough to save him from Elioya. MKOI now looking greedily at getting a game in this series.
And I think they're going to do just that. It doesn't look like there's much that CFO can do about it. It's just Doggo going to try to defend here with Rest, but MKOI are pushing, and they are looking for the first win.
Kaiwing goes in, gets the double knockup. The Blades are called back. Super, though, will kill off Kaiwing. Vanguard's Edge in from Mirwin. Doggo having to flash away. He'll get 2 on the Fountain. Jojo, Super, and Alvaro, though, should still be able to clean this one up. Super flashing forward, and with the Blade caller, he'll find his opposite man. MKOI show there's still life in EU yet as they get a game versus CFO.
Nicely done there. Jojo looking pumped up on stage as they take off their headphones, get their first win here. Mirwin got to be really happy about being able to bust out the Aurelia. The confidence to do it in an elimination game here at MSI was massive. And he is showing Blind Pick Yorick is illegal.
Yeah, you just can't do it. Rest coming.